Is NoFap a complete load of horseshit? Or is there actually something to it? In today's video, we're going to go over some of the anecdotal evidence that supports the benefits of NoFap, and we're also going to go over the one scientific study that's actually been done on NoFap so far and see what they found. My name is Stirling Cooper. I'm an award-winning adult film star. I'm also a former high-class male companion, and I'm here to help you improve your sex life. So let's start off by talking about a lot of the anecdotal evidence that gets reported about NoFap and thrown around on the internet. And look, I'm going to state this from the very beginning that even as somebody who works in adult films, I actually don't encourage guys to excessively masturbate to porn. Shock horror. I don't think it's a fantastic thing for dudes to do. I think it's a waste of your energy, a waste of your time. You have far more productive things you can be doing, and there's a lot more you can channel that energy into to benefit your life than just jerk it off into a goddamn tissue. So, first and foremost, I'll say that. Now, it's no surprise to any dude hearing this that excessive masturbation, anecdotally, okay, typically it tends to ruin your sex drive or significantly diminish your sex drive, tends to diminish your motivation, tends to diminish your drive to just generally accomplish things in general. So, a lot of people tend to report that they feel far more motivated. They feel far more ambitious. They even feel more confident. They tend to have a greater sense of self-esteem when they go for extended periods of NoFap, of not masturbating. There's also been a lot of anecdotally reported cases of improved erectile strength and increased sex drive. Now, maybe this is all placebo effect. Maybe. But with enough dudes doing this experiment and enough dudes reporting these positive benefits, here's the real question asked. Does it even matter if it's placebo effect or not? I mean, if by doing this thing and you believe this thing works and you get all these fantastic benefits from it, well, in my opinion, if it gets you the results you want, then, and it's not hurting you and it's not hurting anybody else, then go ahead and do it. Why wouldn't you? You know, one benefit that I don't think people talk about enough when it comes to NoFap is the quality of sleep you're going to get, because a lot of dudes will use masturbation as a sleeping aid. They'll basically jerk off before they go to bed. Now, this is either habitual or it's, they kind of condition themselves to need to jerk off so they can fall asleep, right? What that's doing is, on top of, jerking off into a tissue and, jerking away all your motivation and your sex drive, it's also giving you a hell of a lot of blue light exposure prior to going to sleep. So, there is an argument to be made that a lot of the benefits from NoFap could purely be coming down to improved quality of sleep and reduced blue light exposure prior to bedtime. That is something to consider. Now, there's this idea of semen retention and, transmutation of sexual energy. Now, I don't like to ever sort of come across as very woo-woo on this channel. I like to base my findings on concrete, real-world evidence. But anecdotally, and even from my own personal experience, when you abstain from masturbation or ejaculation for an extended period of time, yeah, you do tend to have that energy, that sexual drive that you would normally be just masturbating away. You can channel that into other things. You can channel that into the gym. You can channel that into your business and making more money. You can channel that into, heaven forbid, going and talking to beautiful women and attracting women into your life. I think these are all positive things. The one thing I will say about semen retention is you do want to be aware of the potential damage you could be doing to your prostate. Excessive semen retention could be putting a lot of pressure on the prostate. If you've gone for a very long period of time doing NoFap and retaining your semen and not having sex either, and that's something I'll talk about in a second as well, you should at a certain point start having wet dreams, even as an older man. If you just abstain from releasing for an extended period of time, it's a physical, biological need to get that kind of out. So if you're not having wet dreams and you are abstaining from ejaculating at all, no total semen retention, no FAP, etc., then you might want to make sure you're having sex, because there's going to be potential damage being done to your prostate by abstaining for extended periods of time like that. Now, my problem with the whole semen retention no FAP thing is that it puts the emphasis basically on retaining semen and not having sex, not using that excess sex drive to get laid, which I think is kind of the point. Also hitting the gym stronger, getting your business goals achieved with more focus and drive as well. That's fantastic. But primarily, you're talking about building up your sexual energy, so you want to channel it into getting more women in your life, right? There's a lot of people who run around making kind of ridiculous claims like, oh, Mike Tyson did semen retention. Okay, if you say that, I know you haven't read his autobiography. The Undisputed Truth is a great book. Mike Tyson was having sex with damn near anything that moved during his boxing career. Okay, maybe he didn't jerk off or have sex in a few days prior to, leading up to a fight, but the man wasn't spending his entire adult life not having sex. Mike Tyson was having a ton of sex, so he wasn't really retaining any semen. So that argument is blown out of the water. That's an absurd argument to be making. And the same thing I've seen the same argument made with a lot of athletes. I guarantee you these athletes are having sex. They might not be masturbating, fine. And maybe they build up for an extended period of time prior to a fight. And there's something to be said about that, and we'll get into the one scientific study that has been done on NoFap. But to pretend that all these high-level athletes aren't fucking, they're obviously attractive to beautiful women, they're obviously going to be getting laid. So trying to make the claim that, these guys are running around like monks is a bit ridiculous. So personally, whenever guys come to me and ask about my opinions on NoFap and semen retention, I say, look, cut out masturbation, cut out porn. These are good things to cut out. Cool? You're going to get better sleep, you're going to have a higher sex drive, you're going to have more focus and determination to accomplish your goals. I think these are great things. I would say, however, if you're deliberately having sex and deliberately not ejaculating during sex, I think that kind of defeats the purpose, if I'm being totally honest. I don't think there's... And look, I'm a guy who ejaculates for a fucking living, or has been for the better part of the last decade. And a lot of other men in my exact same situation, in my career, have been doing the same thing, and our sex drives are still good. So there's a lot to be said about I think there's a fundamentally a big difference between ejaculating into a tissue and ejaculating on a beautiful woman. I think the whole point of this, the whole point of NoFap and the whole point of retaining the semen by not masturbating is so that you can build up that sexual energy so you can use it where it's meant to be used, on a beautiful young lady. Now it's time for us to talk about the one scientific study that's actually been done on NoFap, and I'm going to basically read the abstract verbatim for you guys. Now, this was done by researchers at, I can't even pronounce this, Zhejiang University. We'll find out if I pronounce that correctly or not in the comment section, I'm sure. Now, the way this worked was that scientists checked the testosterone levels of a group of abstaining men every day for a period of time. Let's jump into the abstract right here. So they took the serum testosterone concentrations of 28 volunteers, and they took these daily during a period of abstinence. So they started the experiment basically. The guys ejaculated, okay, and then they started from that point. Cool. Now, what the authors found were that the fluctuations of testosterone levels from the 2nd to the 5th day of abstinence were very minimal. So they didn't fluctuate too much. It didn't go up or down. It didn't really make much difference. On the 7th day, sounding kind of biblical now, isn't it? On the 7th day of abstinence, there was a clear peak of serum testosterone appearing, reaching 145.7% of the baseline. It's a pretty decent increase. However, this is also very important to note. No regular fluctuation was observed following continuous abstinence after that peak. So what does that mean in layman's terms, right? So basically, there was a significant increase in serum testosterone levels for dudes who abstained after 7 days. 7th day, you saw a peak in a boost in testosterone. After that, there wasn't a noticeable difference. Now, I don't know how long they continued the study for, because I've got access to the abstract. There's also something else to know here is that it was only done with 28 volunteers. So it's a relatively small sample size. Scientifically speaking, that's actually pretty tiny. And I'm not aware of this being repeated anytime soon. So, what can we take away from this? Well, this study concluded that days 2 to 5, you're not really going to see much of a benefit, but on day 7, you're going to see a spike in testosterone from abstaining. Now, this is abstaining from masturbation, but I would imagine this also includes abstaining from ejaculating in general, because that's what they're kind of measuring, right? So basically, it means these guys, not only did they not masturbate, they didn't have sex either. So that tells us that if 7 days of complete abstinence, you're going to see a boost in testosterone. And after that, it's basically the effect is relatively non-existent. So that's something to consider, guys. So a lot of these anecdotal accounts that you'll see, anecdotal accounts of the benefits of NoFap you'll see online, go into the 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 6 month periods. And cool. At that point, what people are doing is they're basically just getting rid of an old bad habit, that is like jerking off to porn, and they're replacing it with new, positive, healthy ones. But is there a measurable, say, increase in testosterone at day 30, day 60, whatever? It's hard to say at this point because no one's done a study that long. So all those things considered, NoFap does look like a positive net benefit for guys, for achieving more, being happier, more confident, having a higher sex drive, better sleep, better boners, everything all round in general. Does seem to be a significantly positive thing for men. However, like I said before, you want to be careful that you're not causing any damage to your prostate by excessively retaining semen for stupidly long periods of time. Now here's a neat little biohack that you might be interested in. Did you know that guys can have non-ejaculatory orgasms? You can learn about that right here.